Ever feel like your brilliant ideas get lost in translation, or that people just don't get you? If you're an INTJ, you've probably faced that frustrating wall of misunderstanding more times than you can count. This video isn't just about why that happens, but how the unique wiring of your INTJ brain can actually lead to some seriously baffling communication challenges. Get ready to finally understand why your perspective is so often misinterpreted. If you've ever felt like your brain runs on a different operating system, cool, efficient, and always calculating in the background, you're in the right place. Today we're decoding the INTJ mind, not to change it, but to translate it. Because when your inner blueprint is misunderstood, it's not a you problem, it's a language problem. Let's set the table. INTJs are guided by a dynamic duo of cognitive functions: NI, introverted intuition, and TE, extraverted thinking. NI is the deep pattern finder, the long-range radar, the part of you that quietly strings dots together into a coherent picture, often before anyone else even knows there are dots to connect. TE is your execution engine, clear, pragmatic, outcome-driven. It wants results, clarity, and efficiency. Together, NI and TE create a worldview that is internally consistent, future-oriented, and rigorously optimized. None of that is wrong. In fact, it's a superpower. But superpowers can be misread. And that's where the misunderstandings begin. The architect's blueprint, INTJ uniqueness. Let's take a closer look at the blueprint. NI scans beneath the noise. It doesn't argue with surface appearances, it quietly asks, what's the underlying pattern? What's inevitable if this continues? NI forecasts. It imagines the most probable trajectory. The conclusions can arrive suddenly, a flash of certainty after a long, silent synthesis. You might say, we need to pivot our product, or we'll lose market share in 9 months, while everyone else is still celebrating last quarter's growth. To you, the future is practically visible. To others, it's speculation. TE takes that insight and says, okay, what's the plan? It compiles steps, deadlines, metrics. TE is why INTJs can appear confident and direct. It's not that you want to bulldoze people, it's that once the pattern clicks, the path forward feels obvious and the detours waste precious time. You're not trying to be cold or controlling, you're trying to be efficient. And yes, it can come off as blunt. But there's more to the stack: FI, introverted feeling, and SE, extraverted sensing. FI sits quietly behind the curtain, evaluating what aligns with your personal values. You won't always declare those values out loud, but they drive your long game more than people realize. SE is your least preferred function, it's about reacting to the immediate sensory environment. Because it's lower in the stack, real-time emotional signaling, spontaneous small talk, or reading the room visually in a fast-moving conversation can sometimes lag behind the strength of your inner model. And this, right here, is one of the fault lines where misunderstanding cracks open. Let's explore how those cracks show up, in conversations, at work, and in relationships, and what to do about them. Why INTJ insights get lost in translation. Picture this: a team meeting. The problem on the table seems simple. People volley quick ideas. Your NI has already mapped the likely outcomes of each path. You speak up: if we choose option B, we'll choke our margins by Q3 and create a technical debt we can't unwind without a re-architecture. We should go with option D and stage it in 2 phases. Silence. Someone says, we're not even talking about Q3, we just need a stopgap for this week. You feel unheard. They feel steamrolled. What happened? You were speaking from the vantage point of inevitability. Your NI was answering the real question, what keeps us alive long term, while the room was answering the immediate question, what keeps us afloat by Friday. Both are legitimate. But because your conclusion arrived fully formed, you skipped the breadcrumb trail. You gave the map, not the journey. And people often need the journey to trust the map. Another moment, a friend vents about a messy relationship. You care deeply, but your Tay leads with solutions. You've described the same pattern 3 times. If you want different results, set a boundary and stick to it. They wanted resonance first, repair second. You reversed the order. Your heart was in it, your delivery wasn't. INTJs get misunderstood not because you're callous, but because you communicate from the end state backward. You see the finished structure and you start placing beams. Others want to walk the empty lot with you first. Imagine the rooms, feel the sunlight, tell a story about what it will be like to live there. If you only show them the finished blueprint, they think you're inflexible. If you only show them the steel, they think you're cold. The Tay compression effect. Here's a helpful concept, the compression effect. Compresses complexity into a single, clean insight. Tay compresses implementation into a clear, efficient plan. By the time you speak, you've compressed hours of mental modeling into a few sentences. To you, brevity is kindness. To others, brevity can feel like missing context, missing empathy, or both. This is why your sentences can land with surprising heaviness. You drop a conclusion that took you days to arrive at, and you share it in 10 seconds. The room didn't take the journey, so your certainty feels abrupt. They ask, how do you know? You think, how do you not? Misunderstanding isn't about the substance, it's about the pacing and the scaffolding. Tay efficiency versus human rhythm. Let's talk rhythm. Tay wants clean handoffs, crisp decisions, and minimal redundancy. Human groups, families, teams, friends, live in a slower rhythm. They bond by circling a topic, repeating bits, telling side stories. They build consensus by feeling their way into it. You can experience that as inefficiency, even disrespect for time. They can experience your version as impatience or arrogance. Neither rhythm is wrong. They serve different functions. Think of it like software development methodologies. Sometimes you need waterfall, your Tay loves it. Sometimes you need agile, other people's process. And sometimes you need a messy brainstorm with sticky notes, which you pretend to hate but secretly use alone. The fix isn't to abandon your rhythm, it's to acknowledge theirs and create a bridge. The hidden warmth of Phi, and why others miss it. Under the precision, INTJs often have a surprisingly tender Phi. You care about loyalty, fairness, excellence, and intellectual honesty. You're moved by integrity, not noise. But since Phi is internal, your care rarely shows as performances of emotion. You demonstrate love by fixing problems, improving systems, building futures. People who expect overt reassurance can misread your quiet steadiness as indifference. Meanwhile, you assume your consistency speaks for itself. This leads to a painful loop. You feel unappreciated for the most valuable thing you offer, vision plus reliability, and they feel unseen because they can't feel your care. In truth, you're both right about what you need. The bridge requires translating care into signals others recognize, without betraying your authenticity. SE blind spots and the snap SE being last doesn't make you clumsy, it makes you selective about sensory bandwidth. You can tune out noise to protect NE's long game analysis. But under stress, that suppressed SE can snap to the front in unhealthy ways. Impatience with interruptions, irritability in chaotic spaces, or harsh tone when your focus is broken. You're not trying to be sharp, your cognitive stack is crying out for order so it can keep doing its job. Awareness helps. It's easier to say, give me 15 minutes to finish this thought, then I'm all yours, than to shoulder through and then regret the edge in your voice. Common misunderstandings, and how to diffuse them. You're cold. Translation, I can't read your care signals. Strategy, lead with one sentence of empathy before the solution. That sounds exhausting. Want ideas or just a listening ear? You keep your integrity and give them a choice. You're controlling. Translation: your certainty feels like you're closing the door on my contribution. Strategy: narrate your process. I'm leaning toward option D because of 3 risks I'm seeing. Want to walk through them and see if I'm missing anything? Now your authority invites collaboration. You think you're always right. Translation: you sound conclusive without showing your work. Strategy: breadcrumb your logic. Here's the pattern I'm seeing: right pointing arrow. If that continues, right pointing arrow. The probable outcome, right pointing arrow. Therefore the recommendation. When people see the steps, they trust the destination. You never share how you feel. Translation: I crave emotional transparency. Strategy: share values, not drama. I'm quiet because this matters to me. Reliability is huge in my world, and the current situation clashes with that. You offer the why without performative emotion. You're negative. Translation: your risk analysis sounds like pessimism. Strategy: reframe. I'm optimistic about the goal, that's why I'm hard on the plan. Pointing out failure modes is how I protect outcomes. Communication upgrades for INTJs. Think of these as small patches to your operating system, no personality transplant required. Show the timeline. When you propose a course of action, add the why now, why this, why not that. A 20-second preface prevents 20 minutes of confusion. Offer menu paths. We can go quick and dirty to hit Friday, or durable and scalable for Q3. Which trade-off makes more sense today? People relax when they choose with you, not feel chosen by you. Ask for bandwidth. Guard me with structure. Can we gather all ideas first, then evaluate? I think better when the data is complete. Framing your need as a process request, not a personal quirk, wins buy-in. Translate care. Decide on 2 or 3 behaviors that signal warmth in the languages of the people you value. A check-in text, a brief, proud of you, a calm, I'm here. It costs you minutes and saves you misunderstandings. Pace your certainty. Share your 80% early and invite critique. This is a draft take. What am I not seeing? Your confidence stays intact, others feel included. Narrate updates. When you pivot, say so explicitly. New data changed my mind. Here's what shifted. People don't experience whiplash, they experience leadership. Build buffer time. If sensory chaos drains you, schedule decompression before high-stakes conversations. You'll bring your best mind to the table, and avoid the stress snap. In the wild, INTJ misunderstanding scenarios. Work scenario. The strategic pivot. You present a plan that sacrifices immediate revenue to secure long-term positioning. Your slides are lean, your argument is airtight, in your head. The team sees lost bonuses. Misunderstanding happens because the value horizon is mismatched. Fix. Create a 2-horizon slide, short-term stabilization, and long-term moat, with explicit metrics for both. Put a checksum at the end. If these 3 signals don't show by month 4, we revert. Now your foresight feels like optionality, not a gamble. Friendship scenario. The disappearing act. You go quiet to process. To you, silence is respect for your friend and for the complexity of the situation. To them, silence is distance. Fix. Send a short, processing message. I'm thinking about what you said. Give me a day to reflect. I care and I'll circle back. You preserve your me time and they feel held, not abandoned. Romance scenario. Love as logistics. You show love by fixing a problem your partner never asked you to fix. They wanted to feel understood, not optimized. Fix. Ask the golden throttling question. Do you want comfort, ideas, or both? If they say, comfort, park the solutions. If they say, both, lead with warmth, then propose. Owning your authority without alienating people. INTJs carry a unique burden. You often see what's coming before people are ready to hear it. If you push too soon, you're difficult. If you wait too long, you're derivative. The art is timing and translation. Try the 3-stage rollout for hard truths. Seeding, casually float a question that hints at the pattern. What's our contingency if adoption slows in Q2? Framing, a week later, share a short note with 2 data points and an observation. Noticing churn rise in segment A. If trend holds, our CAC payback stretches by 3 months. Proposal, present the full model with options and trade-offs. Given X and Y, I recommend Z. Here's the minimal viable test. By the time you drop the full insight, the room's nervous system has met the idea in 3 palatable doses. You didn't dilute your intelligence, you paced it. When misunderstanding is actually a boundary issue, not every misunderstanding is a communication problem. Sometimes it's a boundary problem dressed up as miscommunication. If your clarity threatens someone's status, they may misunderstand you on purpose. If your standards expose mediocrity, you may be framed as rigid to avoid accountability. In those cases, over-explaining won't help. What helps is choosing your playing field. Work with people who value outcomes over optics, and your difficult becomes indispensable. The INTJ self-check. Before you speak, here's a quick mental checklist to run in real time. Have I named the pattern and shown 2 breadcrumbs? Am I speaking at the right horizon, today versus quarter versus year? Did I offer at least one alternative and the trade-off? Have I signaled care in their language before I shift to solutions? Do I need 5 minutes of quiet first? This 15-second scan reduces 80% of friction. It doesn't make you someone else, it makes you a sharper version of you. The power of staying you. Let's be clear, this isn't about sanding down your edges until you blend in. The world needs your long-range vision, your principled spine, your elegant solutions. You're the person who asks, what are we optimizing for, and then actually optimizes for it. Misunderstandings happen because you live at the intersection of clarity and complexity. That's lonely terrain, but it's where breakthroughs live. So, instead of trying to be more relatable by burying your gifts, become more translatable. Bring people into your thinking without apologizing for it. Tell the story of how you got there. Offer choices when you can. State values when it matters. And protect your focus with rituals that keep you humane under pressure. Final word to the architects. If you've ever been called cold when you were being careful, controlling when you were being responsible, negative when you were being precise, take a breath. You're not broken. Your mind is engineered for depth, coherence, and forward motion. The misunderstandings you face are often the side effects of leading from the future toward the present. Now imagine a life where your insight lands, your plans stick, and your care is felt. That life doesn't require a new personality, it requires a new interface. Begin with one small upgrade this week. Breadcrumb your logic in your next meeting, or ask a loved one whether they want comfort or solutions. Watch how quickly the air clears when people finally see what you see. If this resonated, you know what to do. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What's the biggest misunderstanding you face as an INTJ, and which strategy from today are you going to test first? I read every comment, and your insights help shape future videos. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay principled, and keep building what others can't yet see.